Alright everybody, here we go, NW Sportscast. It is still NFL Predictions Week, and today, I guess predictions slash rankings week. Today we're going to be ranking the NFL top tight ends. I took the top 45 tight ends in the NFL, 2 rookies, 1 free agent actually, and we're going to be ranking them all, so we're going to try to do this quickly. Here we go. 45, Luke Schoonmaker for the Dallas Cowboys. He's a rookie, 3rd round pick. Not sure how he's going to do, but he's going to be the backup. Dak Prescott does like for the tight end. I'm at 45. 44, we have another rookie, Brenton Strange for the Jaguars. This guy, a little on the small end for a tight end. I think he's going to be a pretty good player. Not sure how well he'll fare this season. 43, I have Tyler Kroft for the Buccaneers. He is not going to be their starter. He is their backup. He had touchdowns in 2017, but since 2017, he's been a pretty solid, reliable backup tight end. Not sure how much he's going to do, but he comes in replacing. They've promoted Dalton Smith to the starter role as Mike Gesicki's gone, so Tyler Kroft is now the backup. Number 42, this is the first starter on this list. Jake Ferguson of the Dallas Cowboys, a guy who in his rookie season last year, he was 19 receptions and 22 targets. He was very efficient in his limited playing time, but I'm not sold on Jake Ferguson as a starter. He's a guy who was a late round pick. I'm not sure what the Cowboys are doing here, man. Getting rid of Dalton Schultz, I guess I understand not wanting to pay him, but you need to get somebody better than Jake Ferguson. He's the worst starting tight end in the league, in my opinion. 41, we have Luke Musgrave for the Green Bay Packers. This guy is huge, 6'6", 254 pounds. I think he's going to be a solid option for Jordan Love this year. And he is starting. Number 40, Kylen Granson for the Colts. 0 touchdowns in his 2 seasons. This is the kind of deal where it's like, really, Colts, what are you doing? Most teams with young quarterbacks like to, bring in veteran guys who can be their tight end to kind of like provide some stability on the offense, provide some stability on the O-line. Kylen Granson is not that. He's played 2 seasons, never caught a touchdown pass, so I'm just confused about what the Colts' logic here is. Number 39, Mercedes Lewis from the Chicago Bears. Look, he's pretty much a career backup. He's had a couple of decent seasons as a starter, a couple good ones in Green Bay, but the key stat here is the longevity. 18 seasons in the NFL, most ever by a tight end. He's going to break the record that is currently tied with Jason Witten. But Mercedes Lewis is going to break that record this year with the Bears. He's their 3rd string. He's not going to play a whole lot, but he's still a solid kind of backup tight end. He's always been that. Next up, we have Jeff Swain on the Arizona Cardinals. Picture of him in the Cowboys. 6 career touchdowns in 8 seasons. Look, he's a backup guy. He's going to be the backup to Zach Ertz. But Jeff Swain, I think he's one of the better backups in the league. Number 37, another rookie, Sam Laporta. He's kind of short, 6'3", but he is going to be the Detroit Lions starter going into the season. T.J. Hawkinson obviously is now on the Vikings. Kind of a weird move, deciding to trade away a really good tight end and then draft a new one in the 2nd round. That's what the Lions decided they had to do. I'm not sure how Sam Laporta will do in his first season. I do think he's going to be a good player later on. 36, I have Keaton Otten of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last year was Tom Brady in his rookie season, 42 receptions. That's good for a rookie tight end. I'm not sure how it's going to look now with Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask. Hopefully he is able to keep up some level of that consistency and production. 35, it's Adam Troutman of the Denver Broncos. Look, I don't know what the Broncos are doing here. Honestly, I don't. Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, you know Sean Payton likes to be creative the way he manages his tight ends, but Sean Payton used to coach Jimmy Graham. Adam Troutman is not the move. 4 touchdowns in 3 seasons. That's just not very good. So we'll see how he does with the Broncos, but I'm not sold on Adam Troutman as a starter by any means. Number 34, another guy who I'm not sold on as a starter. We got Irv Smith Jr. on the Cincinnati Bengals. He sat there. Look, he had a solid year in 2020, 5 touchdowns with the Vikings, but then he misses all of 2021, and then last year he was back to pretty much being irrelevant. And now he's going to be a starter. He's getting a chance to start with the Cincinnati Bengals. A very good team. We'll see if he can climb the rankings or if he drops. Good thing for Joe Burrow. If Irv Smith ends up sucking, he still has T. Higgins, he still has Jamar Chase, he still has Tyler Boyd. He's going to be fine. Number 33, this is the player with, I believe, the best name in the NFL, Chigoziem Okonkwo of the Tennessee Titans. Last year as a rookie, 450 yards, 3 touchdowns. I think he's going to continue to improve. I like what I'm seeing out of Okonkwo, and I hope he turns into a stud because I love his name so much. All right, we're into the top 32. We started off with Cameron Brate. He's a free agent this year. The key stat, 5 of his last 7 seasons, this guy's caught 4+ touchdowns. Now, the down last year, he didn't catch any, but I still think Cameron Brate is capable of being a starting tight end in this league. He's better than a few of these guys. The Dallas Cowboys, come on. If you're the Cowboys, would you rather have Cameron Brate on a veteran minimum deal, or would you rather have Luke Ferguson? I'd rather have a guy who's proven it before. So I have him on the list because I think Cameron Brate will get signed at some point this year. Some team's going to want him. Some team's going to get injured, and Cameron Brate's going to be the guy who they're going to call. He's the best. He's easily the most. He's the best free agent tight end easily, unless you want to count Gronk still. But I think Gronk is finally done with it. 31, I have Dalton Kincaid. Look, he was the highest selected tight end in the draft in the first round, only first round tight end in the draft. 6'4", 240 pounds. Obviously, started in college as a walk-on, but he ends up being incredible in college. I think he's going to be good. Of course, he is still not the starter, which I like. I like the fact that he's not going in and has to start right away. He's going to get a chance to sit behind Dawson, and then we'll see how he does. So, Dalton Kincaid, number 31. Number 30, Jimmy Graham and the Saints. I think Jimmy Graham is still going to be able to be a little bit productive. His last healthy season was in 2020, though. That's the reason why you're going to be concerned. He didn't play at all last year. We thought he was retired. He's back now. The key stat there, though, in his last healthy season with the Bears, he caught 8 touchdowns. That was with Trubisky at quarterback. Now he has Derek Carr, who's a better quarterback. Problem is, he's not the Saints starter. The Saints have Juwan Johnson at starter, but Jimmy Graham is a backup tight end. He's probably one of the highest end backup tight ends you can have. A guy who has played in many, many Pro Bowls, many seasons. Huge body of work. Number 29, I have the Miami Dolphins starting tight end Durham Smythe. He has 3 career touchdowns in 5 seasons. I'm not sure if Durham Smythe is the guy who we're necessarily looking forward to replace Mike Gesicki. However, the touchdowns aren't there. The receptions have been. He's also good at blocking. He returns kicks as well. So this is a guy who does a lot of things well. I'm just not sure if he's going to be a good starter, but I have him at 29. For 28, Michael Mayer on the Las Vegas Raiders. This is my highest rated rookie tight end. I think he should have been the first tight end pick in the draft. He was incredible in college for Notre Dame in a huge Power 5 school. He was incredible at Notre Dame, so I think he's going to be really good in the NFL as well. We'll see how he does with the Raiders. With Jimmy G, you know Jimmy G likes throwing to tight ends. We've seen it so many times with George Kittle. I think Michael Mayer's going to have a great season. I see him climbing very high up this list in the future. At 27, we have Saints starting tight end Juwan Johnson. I had him at 27 last year, 27 again this year. He did set himself a bunch of career highs in 2022. 42 receptions, 508 yards, 7 touchdowns. Problem is, that was his best season by far of his career. I think splitting the load with Jimmy Graham, Juwan Johnson can have a decent season though this year. Number 26, this pains me to say, Kyle Pitts. I thought he was going to be a big climber last year. He was at 20 going into last season. Now he's down to 26. Stat, I mean, look, 2021 as a rookie, he caught over 1,000 yards. He was a top 5 tight end as far as yardage, but only 3 total touchdowns in 2 years. That is not very good. So you really want to see him start finding the end zone more and actually being a productive scorer, which he has not been so far. Let's see how it works with Desmond Ridder. Number 25, Jonnu Smith with the Falcons. I know Kyle Pitts is probably going to be the week 1 starter on the depth chart. I have to put Jonnu Smith ahead of him, however. Jonnu Smith has a much greater body of work in the NFL. Last year I had him at 16. He does drop by 9, but he is still a decent tight end. And I think him and Kyle Pitts can share that workload pretty well. 8 touchdowns in 2020. The kicker, though, only 1 in 2021 and didn't score a single touchdown last year, but he did still have the receptions with the New England Patriots, just wasn't finding the end zone at all. So the Falcons, both of their tight ends, haven't found the end zone a lot. They have combined for 4 touchdowns in the past 2 seasons. 24, I have CJ Uzomah, the New York Jets. He's the Jets' backup tight end, one of the highest rated backup tight ends I have in the league. He averages 2 touchdowns a season in 7 years. He obviously went to a Super Bowl with Cincinnati, and I think he's going to do well with Aaron Rodgers in New York. Number 23, Logan Thomas. He drops 1 spot from last year. The key stat is that in the past 3 seasons, he has caught 10 touchdowns combined for 1,000 yards. However, that's combined over 3 seasons. If that was in 1 season or even 2, he'd be a lot higher on this list, but he is still a pretty productive player. Solid tight end, just not a top-tier tight end. He won't be a starter for them. From 22, I have the New York Jets starting tight end named Tyler Conklin. He has 3 touchdowns in each of his last 2 seasons. I think Tyler Conklin is a decent player, not a top 20 tight end, but maybe he could be with Aaron Rodgers. I'm not so sure. It'll be interesting to see how much he is really the starter, or if it's really a 2. I believe Uzoma and Conklin will probably get very similar levels of playing time, but we'll see how it goes. And finally, almost to the top 20, number 21, Hayden Hurst. He dropped 6 spots from last year. I had him at 15 last year, now down to 21. Again, the key stat, 25 plus receptions and 2 touchdowns in each of the past 4 years. So he's consistently a below average tight end, but he does it at least consistently. I think he's a good veteran presence to have in the Panthers for guys like, Bryce Young, who's very young. Hayden Hurst and Adam Thielen, I'm really happy that the Panthers went out and signed them, but he's not a top 15 tight end anymore. He probably used to be, but just not at this point. For getting the top 20 kicked off, we have Pat Freiermuth of the Steelers. He goes up by 4 from last year. And the key stat there, in his first 2 seasons, 60-plus receptions. Now, again, the touchdowns haven't really been there. The yardage hasn't really been there. But he's proven to be a consistently reliable guy. He has stayed healthy. He's a good blocker. And he catches the ball. He's a good check-down option. And I think he continues to climb this list as he goes into week 3. Number 19, we got David Njoku of the Cleveland Browns. Last year he was at 14, so he drops by 5 spots. He could definitely climb again. 4 touchdowns in 4 of his last 6 seasons, so he's pretty good at finding the end zone, pretty good at scoring. But last year was one of the worst years of his career, so that's why he drops to 19. But with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, he can definitely re-go right back up to climb the rankings. Number 18, we have Austin Hooper of the Las Vegas Raiders. He was 11th on my list last year. He falls by 7 spots now with the Las Vegas Raiders. Last year with the Falcons, the key stat, look, he's consistent. 38-plus receptions, 345-plus yards, and 3-plus touchdowns in each of his last 6 seasons, except last year he got 2 touchdowns, not 3. But still, those are pretty solid stats. He's reliable, he's consistent, he stays healthy. He's not going to make any big flashy plays. That's why he's kind of dropping down. He had a down season last year by his standards. He can definitely climb back up the list. Number 17, we got Cole Kmet on the Chicago Bears. He climbs by 8 spots. I had him at 25th last year, but he had a real breakout last year. 7 touchdowns in 2022. Also now back-to-back seasons of 50-plus receptions and 500-plus yards. So he is really turning into a solid tight end for the Bears. Justin Fields clearly likes to throw to him. Number 16 is the other tight end for the Bears, Robert Tonyan. He was 8th last season. He falls to 16th. The key stat for Tonyan is that 2020 season when he scored 11 touchdowns and was incredible, 52 receptions and 59 targets. So he caught pretty much everything that was thrown to him in 2020. However, injuries and just bad quarterback play from Aaron Rodgers, that hindered him in the past 2 seasons. Tonyan and Kmet, I view them as a 1A, 1B. I think Kmet might be higher on the depth chart right now because he was with the Bears last year, but I think Tonyan's going to get a pretty good amount of reps as well with the Bears. That is probably the best tight end duo in the NFL, but we'll see. Number 15, I have the Gerald Everett in the Los Angeles Chargers. Gerald Everett, a former Seahawk. He didn't do a whole lot with the Seahawks, but he has been good. I had him at 21 last year. He goes up by 6 spots. Again, look at the consistency. A lot of these tight ends, what they improve is consistency. 35-plus receptions, 400-plus yards in each of his past 4 seasons, and he's now gone back-to-back seasons with 4 touchdowns. So he's consistently putting up decent yards, decent receptions, and scoring the football. I think he's a solid tight end, solid veteran guy. Justin Herbert is happy to have him. Number 14, Zach Ertz. He slipped from 7th all the way down to 14th on the list. Last year, probably the worst year of his career, but you can't ignore what he has done in the past. 5 800-plus yard seasons, but the last time he did it was 2019. 4 5-plus touchdown seasons. That last time he did it was 2021. And 6 70-plus reception seasons. The last time again was in 2021. With Arizona, I'm not sure how he's going to fare with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. If Tyler comes back, he'll be fine. I do think he continues to fall down the list, but I think he's got a couple more years left in him as a starter. If you ask me, he's still a decent tight end. Number 13, we have Mike Gesicki on the Patriots. Now, he is the highest-rated backup tight end on this list. He was 5th last year. He's now 13th. He had a terrible season last year and struggled with injuries, but you can't ignore what he has done. 5+ touchdowns in 3 of his last 4 seasons. He had a really good year in 2021, a really good year in 2020 with the Dolphins. I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to look with Mac Jones, and he is obviously the backup tight end. So the Patriots, even more so than the Bears, because the New England Patriots have the best tight end duo in the NFL, as we'll see shortly. Number 12, Dawson Knox on the Bills. I'm worried about his target share because I think Dalton Kincaid's going to get a lot of reps this year, but Dawson Knox, for now, he's still the starter. Last 2 seasons, 97 receptions, 1,100 yards, and 15 touchdowns. So he has found the end zone quite a bit. He is getting yards. He's getting receptions. He's a good player, great guy that for Josh Allen to have. He's always been a little underrated. I had him at 17th last year. He moves up by 5 spots, the 12th spot. I don't see him getting into the top 10. However, just because he's going to be splitting targets now with Dalton Kincaid. And finally, just as he got on the top 10, Evan Engram, he had a really good year last year. He moved up by 8 from 19 all the way up to 11. I think that's the highest climber on my list. I might be wrong about that. He's got there. Last year, he set career highs, 73 receptions, 766 yards. Those were both career highs, and it came in his 6th season in the NFL. So he's getting better with age. Or is he just getting better because he has a good quarterback? Trevor Lawrence is a really good quarterback. I think Engram has another good season. I think by the end of this year, he will be a pretty much a consensus top 10 tight end in my opinion by the end of the year. Number 10, the New England Patriots starting tight end in Hunter Henry. Obviously, he's not Gronk. Had him at 13th last year. He's up to 10th now. The key stat, look, his last 5 healthy seasons. I say that because he did miss a season completely due to injuries, but in his last 5 healthy seasons, 40+ receptions, 500+ yards. He's consistently putting up 500-yard seasons. Also, in each of his first 5 healthy seasons, he scored 4 or more touchdowns. Last year was his 6th healthy season. He only scored 2. So I'm interested to see if he can maybe get the scoring back up. If he keeps scoring, if he can score more than he did last year, he'll be a top 10 tight end again. If not, he might fall off the list. Number 9, Tyler Higbee. 6th last year, he drops a couple spots down to the 9th. I still think he's a top 10 tight end in the NFL. 40+ receptions, 500+ yards, and 3 or more touchdowns in each of his last 4 seasons. And again, consistency is king. If you're a tight end, Tyler Higbee has been consistent on the Rams. With Matthew Stafford back at quarterback, I think he could be another big season. Number 8, my guy Noah Fant, and this is actually the largest riser on the list. I had him in 8th last year. I had him in 8th now. In his first 4 career seasons, he has topped 40 receptions every time. He's topped 40 to 80 yards every time. He's topped 3 touchdowns every time. This is his 5th season. Geno Smith is back again. I think Noah Fant is a great tight end. Not sure if he'll be in the top 10 again next year, just because, with Najigma now also in the receiver room, there's even more people targets for, but he's still a very good player. Number 7, look, it's Darren Waller of the New York Giants. He drops by 3. Last year I had him at 4. He had a bad season last year, but still, you have to look at it, what he has done. 90+ receptions and 1,000 yards in 2019, and then again in 2020. He also scored 9 touchdowns in 2020. However, the past 2 seasons, he has been struggling with injuries. Only 5 touchdowns in 2021 and 2022 combined. So he's kind of at a point of a Zach Ertz where if he has a rebound, he's going to be right back there in the top 5, and I think he will with Daniel Jones. However, if he doesn't rebound, he's going to be pretty far down the list next year, but I still have to go wrong. Number 6, Dalton Schultz. I surprised myself by putting him this high. He was 9th last year. I have him at 6 now. Look at the numbers. Past 3 seasons, 57+ receptions, 570+ yards, 4+ touchdowns in each of the past 3 seasons. He now is on the Houston Texans. He got paid. I think he is going to be a huge asset to C.J. Stroud because the Texans don't really have any big-name receivers on their team. So I think they're really going to rely upon Dalton Schultz as their top pass catcher, and C.J. Stroud's going to use him, I believe, pretty much as a security blanket. And whenever he gets in trouble, you know who he's throwing it to. He's throwing it to his tight end, Dalton Schultz. Number 5, Dallas Goedert. He was once the best backup tight end in the NFL. He is now a starter. The Eagles were very smart to take a chance on him and move off of Zach Ertz. And when they have done it, it worked out very well. Keep that. Look at it. 500 or more yards, 3 or more touchdowns, 45+ receptions in each of the past 4 years. He's now been to 2 Super Bowls with the Eagles. He's a very good tight end. He was one of the best backups, and now he's one of the best starters. So Dallas Goedert continues to prove himself very much worthy of being a top 10 in the league. But I think he has not entered the realm of the top 4. I think you could argue that he's not the best. There's an argument for Dalton Schultz. I think there's an argument still maybe for Darren Waller. And I think there's also an argument for a guy like a Tyler Higbee. Or even a guy like Kevin Engram who had a great season last year. There are guys you can look at and say maybe he's not the 5th best, but I personally think he is. Let's move on to the top 4. In my opinion, the top 4 should be undisputed. Number 4, T.J. Hockenson on the Minnesota Vikings. Look at what he did. Look at what he has done since coming into the NFL in 3 seasons. 60 or more receptions every single year. 580 plus yards every single year. 4 plus touchdowns every single year. He has been a stud with the Lions. I don't know why they traded him, but I think that was a really stupid decision on their part, because he's going to be so good. Kirk Cousins with Hockenson and with Justin Jefferson on his team. I think the Vikings are still one of the best offenses in the league. Hawkinson's a stud. He can continue to climb this list, but he is still a ways behind my number 3, which is George Kittle. When he's healthy, George Kittle's a top 3 tight end in the NFL. He stat last year 11 touchdowns, and he missed like 4 or 5 games. That's incredible. 2018, 2019, he had back-to-back 1,000 yard, 80-plus receptions, and 5 touchdown seasons. He's been a Pro Bowler in 4 out of the last 5. The one time he didn't make the Pro Bowl, he missed more than half the season. So George Kittle, big problem is health. He also is one of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL, maybe the best. He plays special teams. He does everything right. George Kittle does everything right, but obviously not the best tight end in the league. We all know who that is. Number 2, though, Mark Andrews. I wasn't sure where I was going to put between Andrews and Kittle. I had Andrews ranked at 2 last year and Kittle at 3. By the way, Hockenson up by 6. But Mark Andrews, I kept him at 2 just because he is, even though he didn't get all the touchdowns as Kittle, I still think he is he is a slightly worse blocker and a slightly better pass catcher. But Andrews and Kittle, in my opinion, are the 2 most complete tight ends in the NFL in the sense that they do everything right. They run, they pass, they block, pass. They catch, they run, they block, they play special teams. They do it all really, really well, and they're leaders on the field. Whereas, obviously, we know who the number 1 guy is going to be. I don't even have to say it. Mark Andrews, the receiving stats are not as good. But still, he's averaging 940 yards a season over the past 4 seasons. He's averaging 7.5 touchdowns a season. He's averaging 75 receptions. He's still a very, very good player over his past 4 seasons. But because the receiving numbers just aren't really there, even though the blocking, I believe, is better, I think him and Kittle are more complete. Travis Kelce is obviously going to be number 1 because obviously look at the numbers. 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. That is just simply out of this world for a tight end. 8 straight Pro Bowl seasons. 5 8-plus touchdown seasons. 3 seasons with double-digit touchdowns. 7 straight 80 reception seasons, and 3 of those have topped 100. Travis Kelce is amazing. 2 Super Bowl rings. 8 Pro Bowls. He's the best tight end in the NFL. I don't think there's any question about it. I think you can argue for Andrews and Kittle. I think Hockenson at 4 is pretty good. And then you can argue about 5, but I like what I have. I think these are really good rankings. Let me know, though, down below in the comments, what do you think? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Have I unfairly rated anybody? Did I forget about anybody? Any backups that you think deserve mention? I know I didn't. I only mentioned about half the backups in the NFL. So if there's any backup tight ends that you think I should have mentioned, let me know down below. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one. We're going to do running backs tomorrow, so that should be really fun. And we got to end the video. There we go. Like, comment, subscribe for more. This is going to end the Sportscast.